Shafere izinji kamala mukarravo dynamite nyalungu. This is my favorite color, by the way, royal blue. And I want us to talk about the last installment I had, which did incredible numbers on TikTok. Not only that, I've got to hear stories of people who were in situationships, who were involved with married men, who were involved with, hey, being side chicked, all of that. And hey, it's eye-opening, to realize that a lot of women go through similar things. Mara, it's re no ba re na le ntho e le hore ha re nyako bolela, re nyako ba, must have it all together and figured out and all of that. But at the back of that, there were a lot of comments that were saying, I'm in a situationship after this video, I'm leaving. Yo, you made me think twice. I agreed to it yesterday. Today I'm saying no. And all of those things. And in those questions, I asked people, Hore, are you saying that because you are hyped by me right now? Because it's one thing. If you've been in the situation, Hore, I know. A lot of your friends have set you down. We've spoken about this. You went in knowing. So there's nothing new that I'm telling you. I'm telling you things you already know. It's just that it's things you perhaps didn't want to hear. And then I came. I still came with you having made that decision. So getting out, it's not gonna be easy as you typing the comment. Rest assured, it's not easy to just get out of something, even when you know it's toxic for you, even when you know you deserve better, even when to a point where even when you successfully got out, ne, you are still going to be tested. Our guys, there are chants, there are chants who are like, after 2 weeks. So it's not the getting out part that's difficult. It's getting out and staying out. Because when you stay out, it means when tests are being brought to you. Tests could be, where are you? And it's raining and you want cuddles. Tests look like being called, I'm in your area. Texts look like trying to communicate, and this guy's like, come tell me in person. Tests, hey, they look like a lot of things. Temptations to go back, traps to lay you in, and you won't have the courage to say no right afterwards. I'm not sure if I'm making sense. When you get out of it, you still have things that you need to mourn. You need to mourn the idea of what that thing could have been in accordance to you, or how you wished that thing could have turned out. You need to mourn that idea because it didn't materialize, right? So while you mourn, you are still going to be tapped at the back. Hooray, kana, I'm around. Hey, ke godile. Hey, re kwatelane gape. Hey, and all those things are things that you may have wanted at a particular time, or are things that it's a repetitive cycle, but because you are not ready to deal with not having them completely at that time, they make you go back. So you go back over and over again and over again. O ira conference call ko WhatsApp ra tsena ra bolela ra utlwella wa re tshepisa ka mkholo re you are never going to go back there again. Tomorrow a re tla, and a tapsia thing tomorrow, it doesn't have to be anything hectic. No, it's something that by virtue of getting wanting, because there's a part of you that really wants there's a part of you that really wants to see him again. There's a part of you that hopes it's different each time. There's a part of you that wishes they realize and see what's in front of them. There's a part of you that still sees the good in them, the good that you want to be seen as. Kore, and you keep hoping. You keep the door open. Those things don't come immediately after seeing my video. That courage to leave does not come immediately. Because yes, you're gonna see my video. You are hyped and you are convinced it's the right thing to do. But if you are not ready mentally, emotionally to, I wouldn't say even to leave, but to deal with everything else that comes after leaving, you are setting up yourself for failure. Even worse, you are setting up yourself for more disrespect. Because if you leave, and it's the first time you leave, I treat you differently. I treat it differently versus the 18th time you are leaving because you came back 17 times. What makes you think I'm gonna take the 18th time seriously? So you understand when you leave because you had Karabo Dynamite say, guys, there's nothing wholesome in a person who's in a relationship and all of that. You leave because of that. The rain rains and then the body wants cuddles. You go back. There's something in him also that the regard that he had, the little regard that he had. Leona iba little. It becomes smaller and smaller. Kuring, depreciate. However way he saw you the first time is definitely not how he's looking at you now. Because you are one person who also cannot hold themselves accountable. If you do not respect the decisions that you made to leave, what makes you think when you come back, whatever you say afterwards, I need to respect? Or whatever you say afterwards and how you act and whatever you communicate, I need to take seriously? Because guawena, you don't take yourself seriously. When you say you're going to do something and you've got hindrances, because loneliness is going to be there. Loneliness is going to be there when you leave a situation, even when you were a third party in that situation. The little crumbs or breadcrumbs that came with it, you are still gonna miss them. You are still gonna hope they were wholesome. You are still gonna hope it was the whole bread and not the breadcrumbs. And because of that, a little temptation to lay you in can easily succeed. So if you are not in a position where you are ready to face whatever consequences that come with leaving that situation, you are setting yourself up for failure because you're constantly gonna go back, and it's not gonna be easy. It is not getting out that you should be worried about or prepared for. It is emotionally and intellectually prepping yourself for any other difficulty that may come. Guys, kunezinye izinto you need to commit to self that noma kanjani I'm not going back there. Like even if kuthiwa uye kuphela osele, I'm not going back there. There's certain things that you need to make that sort of commitment to self about. And maybe let's get practical with this thing. If this man had a car and you chose to get out of this Nikki Link situation or side chick situation with him, there may be moments where right afterwards you become stranded somewhere and he's the only guy with the car. Honey, what you do in that moment enables him to come back if you are going to choose him as an option to rescue you. What you do in the moment where his getting present could really change the situation and you go back to him, empowers him to come back with the disrespect and the crap to it fulfills something in him. Ukuthi, no, kahle kahle uyabona ukuthi uyandinga. Worst part, I've seen situations where where you've had really valid issues, you raise your concerns and all of that, and then you leave. And then situations like this happen where you need him or you need things that he has at that particular time, whatever resource that he may have at that particular time. And then you go and ask it from him. And then the conversation becomes, Noro Hafizaging. So they guess like everything you've raised as a concern because in this present moment you needed me and I'm here. You called me, but they're very condescending. You're a very young thing. Uyabona na ukuthi awulutho ngaphandle kwaka. And it's really not that way, but who is enabling? Is you. Because in as much as he is the only option, and oftentimes they are not the only option, but because you were in a situationship with them, they've been the person playing that role for the longest time, it's natural that your brain thinks of Maraman Tabo, Tabo can help, because it's been Tabo that's been helping. Whenever I am short of 50 rand, Tabo would, whenever I am stranded, Ubers are skyrocketing, Tabo would. So the next time an Uber is skyrocketing, you also think Tabo, but don't succumb. Don't call hey, irashkoloto if you have to. That is if you are intentional about getting out of this thing and leaving this person behind. So the temptations or the moments that you've shared with him or situations that require a role that he played, they don't stop happening because you chose to not be a side chick anymore. It's just as this time you're going through it alone. But in that going through it, you choose for this position that Tabo used to play. Am I putting mandla, or am I getting a friend? Am I creating a skolota? Or am I bringing back Tabo? If Tabo hasn't pushed you to your threshold where you say enough is enough, honey, you're going to go back and forth. And also in that moment when you leave, understand there's a part of him that feels he's given you the world, or he's given you enough treatment, or introduced you to certain things. And sometimes, shame, it is the case that you don't know certain things until you were a side chick to this person, and by virtue of that they overvalue those things. Because now I gave you the life you never had before I came into your life, you are going to miss me within 2 weeks. So I'm expecting you naturally to come back. That 2 weeks after breakup is very crucial. And what you do after, very crucial. The problem we have as women, heterosexual women, that is, we want to prove to him and to the world how matured we can be. We call it maturity. That when are you constantly going to expose yourself to the statuses on WhatsApp, to the stories on WhatsApp, you even follow the main chick, and then you are trying to heal. It makes no sense why you would claim to love yourself and want to subject yourself to content that's going to trigger you in the process that you're going through right now. If you are dealing with breaking up with someone, you have no business having to check who they are with, which party did they attend. You had plans for the 17th of December. On the 17th of December, if your breakup came before the 17th of December, on the 17th, you have no business going to check if he kept, he went to the event with another. Don't subject yourself to that. If it's immaturity for you to block, for you to delete the number, for you to do whatever you need to do to heal, then let's be immature, ngwanetu. If you're looking for progress, be willing, by all means, to be immature, so that you don't constantly subject yourself to pain that is going to be beyond what you're going through. And sometimes when they see that, okay, you're actually keeping tabs, they add salt. You have no business knowing what your ex is up to. Whether or not you had plans before the breakup and then now your plans are just hanging there. You have no business subjecting yourself to looking at how well this man can treat a woman, and having yourself reminded in those moments, when you settled for less, it could never be you that they get to treat this way. It could never be you that they get to show up for in this way. So if all that is immaturity, if blocking the person is immaturity at the expense of your emotional well-being and your healing at the time, by all means, are being immature. How are you gonna heal when you're still having or still in the same space? Because sometimes we live physically, but energetically you are still linked to this person. You living telepathically. I get when things are nice, we call it telepathy. But when you're still linked to that person, hey, mebra, if you need to get rid of that perfume because it reminds you or it triggers you, get rid of it. If you still need to bend that t-shirt, bend the things he got you, because each time you look at those things remind you of how you felt when they were done. But you need to remember, it is not the things that made you leave. It is the behavior, the current behavior that made you leave. Right? So when the thing was bought, forget how you felt. Forget how it was the first time you wore a Louis Vuitton, because your attachment to that memory can easily convince you, especially Mautega after 2 weeks of breakup, can easily convince you that no, you should stick around. He can do more. If he was able to buy you a Louis Vuitton, maybe if you stick around, he can do more. Darling, if you are intentional about your healing, get rid of anything that's going to trigger you, regardless of how much it costed, because at this moment, it's not the other party that is against this memory that you have is your sanity, is your emotional intelligence and your emotional well-being. It's your mental health. Because it's expensive things. It's things that can't be bought. So no amount of Louis Vuitton bag must take preference over your mental health, your emotional well-being. Guys, are moving forward. You understand? So be very, very intentional in saying that once I leave, I am ready. Regardless, not knowing what's on the other side, you need to be so willing to be ready to go through it alone, so much so that you don't see the need to go back. But for as long as you are attached, and some of us, shame, we are in a position where we feel worthless without certain people in our lives. We feel, or we fear the idea of doing life without them, even when they were giving you cramps, even when they were clearly not valuing you. For some reason, you think, I can't do life without you alone. Oh, you've taught me so much. You've taken me to so many places. I can't, I can't even go a day without talking to you. Honey, let me tell you, there will be a point if you are intentional about your healing where your day goes very fine. Honey, there's so many people whom we thought they were our alpha and omegas. Today, ha re lebetse le gore kana kile wa ba part of bophelo ba ka wena ka kile ka wollela ka senya tissue ha twin saver ne tla nsua. It's given gore I can now function without you. Mara ke woletse. Justified at the time I had to go through what I went through. Mara auna motho e leng bofelo ba lefatshe for anyone else. Honey, there's always better out there. There's always stronger, richer. Whatever that person was, there's always a better version of them outside. You need to be willing to go and find it for yourself. You need to be willing to go and give others a chance. Go and explore. It can't be that your alpha and your omega is someone who you have to bend a lot of yourself in order for you to keep whatever relationship with them going. So block if you need to block. Delete if you need to delete. And sometimes you also need to be away from whoever is attached to that party. If you need to mute certain people's statuses because they have content that you know is gonna trigger you, why would you subject? How do you say, look, guys, don't be motho when you wanna prove how strong you can take it, how much of it you can take it. Anyway, there will be a point where I will have to look at it. No, you don't have to subject yourself to that. In fact, if you place your healing above everything else and you go through your healing, even the day you get to things that would have triggered you at this time, you are unfazed. So you don't need to subject yourself to looking at how much of it you can take now amid your pain and all of that. Don't do that to yourself. And there's a moment where after the 2 weeks or whatever time threshold they gave you, you'll be back, and you are not back, they'll be all of a sudden inspired to make efforts. Right? And honey, we're not saying people don't change for particular women, because honey, I've seen it. Where I know you as a player, you are a player, but all of a sudden, go figure who's in so there are those people. But what I'm saying here is, if in those talks where they came back about jelly anything different, there's no need to go back because when you miss me. If I'm still coming back to the same circumstances I left because of, do you miss me is irrelevant at this point, because you're gonna miss me anyway, honey. So you need to understand what is enough for you to give certain things consideration. I believe in second chances so much, even third, even fourth, but it depends. It always is context dependent. I am not gonna walk to the same thing I left and ran away from. It makes no sense that you are leaving because there's cheating involved, or you are leaving because there's a main chick involved. You're tired of being a side chick. You leave, they come after 2 weeks, but no, babe, I miss you so much. You come back, there's still a main chick, there's still cheating. What are you hoping happens? And what in that moment thinks or makes you think he will be inspired all of a sudden, getting an inspiration to yield a different result when the circumstances are still the same? So if you are being told that the main is still there, because yes, I may also be missing you. While I'm healing and crying there, I'm obviously missing you. And it may fulfill something. Or I may be flattered when you come after 2 weeks, when I've been crying, I've been missed, I've had swollen eyes, and you come and say you miss me. It empowers me so much, But it can't be the only reason that makes me come back to you. When I left because of external reasons, multiple factors that I was not content with. If those factors are there, missing you and you missing, it serves no purpose for us to continue on the basis solely of missing each other. I need you to understand that where you see the relationship going or where it could go, where potentially a thing and how it can be manifested and all of that, it is not your responsibility to bring that vision to a man who's not serious about you. It is not your responsibility to go around umnyakisa mereko to go around if he's in a business to promote it and market it. It is not your responsibility to make a man fulfill his potential, especially when they take you for granted. It is not your responsibility to show someone I'm worth it. Look, I'm worth it. Honey, utlo laminate. Wa laminate, selo laminate wena. Honey, going through extremes should never be a prerequisite for someone to start treating you right, of a prerequisite for you to be deserving of true love, right? So when you leave someone, leave her wholeheartedly. Angisho wena akakuthandanga wholeheartedly. Wena whole intentionally leave wholeheartedly. I mean it because I don't want to see you promoting this man's brand. I would treat it like trash and you've left that situation. You have no business laminating his certificates of whatever. After this relationship, you have no business sending him quotes and motivational messages so that he keeps going. Hey, you've got you to worry about. You've got yourself to heal. You've got yourself to... You can't be, after all these things, doing things for this man, benefits for this man, hoping he changes his mind. And when you choose to live with your benefits, please live with them genuinely. So don't live with the hope that he realizes hore mara entle nana le role mo bophelong baka nako ke sana le entle le ntse le side check printer ka na le enke. So don't hope he realizes hore I guess ana enke and entle used to make sure re ke founele and don't hope for those moments. Genuinely live so that le ga a realize you are not tempted to go back if he's not serious about changing the circumstances that made you leave. Another part of healing that you need to be prepared for is those thoughts that are not so nice. I don't know how to avoid them, so hence I'm telling you to be better prepared. When you look at the option they chose, right? The option they chose over you. And Emara, not being judgmental, but you realize, I literally am the opposite of this person. And given what I've been fed about this girl, I literally brought my best foot forward. So you are bound to see yourself as compare and contrast between who they chose, right? And it's not because of jealousy, but it's because you can't fathom. After everything you've been fed about this lady, they still choose this lady. After everything that you see, I wouldn't do that. She posted about their fight on Twitter. I wouldn't do that. Even after that, they still chose her. So there are certain things that you will find questioning. And it's not because the bad. Like, you guys questioning why you communicate and you require a certain level of communication when you are in a relationship. But because you were at a place where, hey, that had to be altered in ways that were not even suiting, in ways that were not even getting wholesome. You all of a sudden start questioning good things about you. Me being available when he needs me in emergency. Should I stop? Was I available too much? Honey, you were not. You just did the right things to the wrong person. And yes, if you failed yourself by agreeing to it, you did. But now, move forward. You will have thoughts where you look at the man and you're like, guys, orata physical fitness. Ke phela ko gymming. She does not have to stretch so much for the things I stretch for in this relationship. So of course, You will have those moments where you look at her, you look at yourself, you look at the situation, you look at the lies, and you're like, "Mar, ke style or huiralang," you know, ke skobo or huirala, you know, what's wrong with me? It's sort of natural when they choose the other person, and then you really self-assess in a very toxic way, where you try find faults with you. You can never, ever, ever fathom what keeps the person there. You can never ever be the one, and it is not your responsibility to have an analysis of the qualities of the main chick or whoever they chose over you, and make it make sense to you. It has nothing to do with you going to gym. It has nothing to do with her being caviar. It has nothing to do with her being however. It has everything to do with the mistake you made by first allowing the setup when you knew you were not up for it, which we already accounted for. But again, the participant himself, the guy in the picture, it has everything to do with his preferences, right? And preferences, it doesn't mean gore di fella when we have like her as the main, you as the side. It means he would ordinarily would like to be with you, but feels obligated to be with the main. There are certain things that she may give him that you may never understand or fathom or understand why it makes him take the weight. Like you are over them, but it makes him happy that you can never give him. Whatever was a decider between you and the girl they chose over you is not your responsibility to understand and fathom. And hey, as imperfect as you think you are, there's someone who wants you and will choose you and only you, and won't put you in situations where now you have to be confronted by other girls, you have to act in a certain way, you have to keep quiet. All those things that you were subjected to in this setup, they will not exist in a situation where someone chooses you. Don't analyze what made them qualify, what made them. Don't go crazy. Prepare yourself for those thoughts that are invasive. After you do that, remind yourself that it's never about you. It's always about the person who's having choice between the two of you. And whatever it is they think makes the other girl worthy over you, you are not responsible, or it is not your responsibility to want to understand it. It doesn't have to make sense to you. What was the things that made the person choose the other girl over you?